Morning everyone. Come with me on an adventure this morning. I've got to go across to the west coast, up to Reefton, round to Hanmer and back down to Timaru. I've had a cold front come through from the south, capped all the mountains with ice, and I thought, well, that might make a good video for you as I pick out the highlights going over the Arthur's Pass and back on the Lewis Pass. So let's see how that pans out. So Bev and I have been in Timaru about 2 months now, just setting up our new house here how we want it, finding our way around Timaru, meeting some new people in the neighbourhood. I'm currently doing an extension to the carport to close it in, so I've got better security for my jet ski, motorbike and little car. That's a project I've been enjoying. We're getting the garden going, getting some planting underway. Yesterday I put in some scarlet runner beans that'll go up the fence, and some broad beans there. I like a taste of the broad beans every now and again. As I come around the north side of Timaru here on my way out of town, there's a big new development going in here on the right. Bunnings, this will be the main intersection right here by where the blue van is, and Bunnings across there. It's 9:30 on Thursday morning here. I'm just running through Washdyke, the industrial side of Timaru here. I'm just learning where all the businesses are. ITM, the independent timber merchants, are just around here. I've been there to get some timber for my extensions, and Bev broke a window, so I had to get that fixed, and that's been another place out this way. But we've got following winds from the south as I head north. My next turn off will be Winchester, and we'll take the inland road through to Methven and on into Sheffield. So you can see we're taking an inland route here, up the inside of the Canterbury Plains, across the Alps, and then head further north. That's a fresh dusting of snow up there from yesterday. The first little town on the Canterbury Plains here is Geraldine. I often stop here for a cup of coffee or a Subway. This river is the Rangitata. The summer cereal crops are just starting to emerge now. Wheat, oats, barley. This forest to our left here is Douglas fir. They're probably about 18 to 20 years old. Pruned to the bottom there, and they'll make a good timber product into the future in about another 10 years. As I head north, we're getting closer to the mountains. We're now at 300 metres above sea level on the inner aspects of the Canterbury Plains. Around here, that mountain there is Mount Hutt. Just diverted off onto this back road here due to roadworks, but that's Mount Hutt there, the big ski basin up to the right, a massive ski field. I really enjoyed playing up there, but the only skiing I do now is jet skiing because my gammy knees. I certainly don't want to tear my meniscal cartilages again. Crept up another 100 metres in elevation, now at 400 metres, and the snow's more permanently on the ground here. Mount Hutt behind Methven there. You can just see the basin there. We've knocked off 100 kilometres of this trip. We're a quarter of the way there. As we come up here to the Rakaya River, you can turn up the river and come out at Lake Linden, but I think the snow will be too deep to go through there, so I'll have to go out around Sheffield and Springfield. This valley between here and that next hill on the left there is the Rakaya Valley. Well, the road's blocked just up there at Wind Whistle, so I'm going to go through the shortcut. Well, let's see whether we can get through. Apparently there's others can get through there. It's a lovely time of the year to come through here. This way to the west coast. Starting to get a bit deeper on the side of the road. Terrace Downs Golf Course in here, eh? You'd lose your white ball there today. It'd want to be yellow or red or something like that, wouldn't it? A view right away up the Rakaya River. You get up the top of that and then you drop down over and you're towards Hokitika into the Wilberforce and Lake Canaries around to the right. Where the adventure begins. I'm climbing back up into the hills a bit now with snow, unknown depth, and a trailer on the back. Am I looking for trouble? Come with me and we'll see what happens. My GPS is yelling at me, turn round and go back, don't be stupid. Anyway, we're committed. Let's see what happens. This is all part of the adventuring, isn't it? Soon we get off the tar seal and onto gravel. That didn't take long before we're off the tar seal. See by the GPS there, we're very close to the way. There's a power station at the bottom end of that there as well. Got up through that valley over there behind the shearing shed there. The lake that I was trying to think of back there is Lake Coleridge. If you cut up that one there, I think it's ski fields up through there. Yes, that's the one. And look, the sign says open, fine weather road only, open. That's what we want. Give it all. The GPS is still telling me to go back and go round. realise that we're in a bit of a snow shadow, if you like. Most of the snow was dropped on the face of Mount Hutt there, and this here valley that we're in now either had high winds and it didn't settle much, or it only went onto the tops. We're coming up to the high point of this pass here now, and then we drop on down to a place called Lake Linden and join the other highway, 73. There you go. That's the top of the top there. Now we're working our way down. As we come over this ridge, we should be able to see Lake Linden. Oh, there it is. We're at an elevation of 836 metres tall here around this edge of the lake. See cars in the distance there, that's the highway. So our risk of coming through this back road and getting trapped with snow and ice and having to turn around and getting into a bottleneck with other cars has come to naught. The risk was worth taking. He said the delay was up to an hour back there with that roadblock, and this was the alternative. Well, I haven't been an hour on this road, and that means that I've saved myself probably an hour and a half by coming through the back road here. Some people there playing in the snow, come up from the city, give way to this bloke. And we're back on the other road now. That's Lake Linden there, you can see. The turn off there to Porter Heights ski field up that road. Castle Hill little recreation area in there where people go rock climbing and looking around the hills. This is a unique piece of geology in New Zealand where the limestone has sunken into the ground. We use this landscape around here for movies like Narnia. That's the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, I think. Lees Valley down through there. 3 ski fields up on the Craigieburn range there. One called Craigieburn, one called Cheeseman, and the other one Broken River. They're all in those basins on this range here. That's not the Southern Alps. That's just a smaller range inside the Southern Alps. Castle Hill Village in there. Some alpine chalets and villages, and in and around those rock formations directly ahead is where the film sets are there. The turn off to Cheeseman, and there, Mount Cheeseman ski field. To go. Looks like somebody's house is moving from the Canterbury back to the west coast with some roof trusses going up there. Tom Croft, he's a big freighting company at Stillwater on the west coast of the South Island. just spent $10,000 on this engine here, doing the timing chain, the injectors, attending to the cracked manifold, and overall the performance of the vehicle has improved no end. Good power now, better economy, it's running well. I want to keep this van for another few years yet, so I want the engine right, and I didn't want that timing chain breaking on me. It's handy having a camper van because you've got your bed in the back and a cup of tea whenever you want it. This is quite a steep pull coming up the other way. I don't know what the percentage incline it is, but this is the only piece that stopped me one time coming from the west coast to the Canterbury side in snow and ice because it's so steep. Pearson has got a very narrow neck here from this big shingle scree that's come down on the other side there, and nearly pinched it right off. About a 50-metre gap there, and then the lake widens out on the other side here. It's a wildlife refuge. You can't boat on this one. Make it all. Now we're starting to look back into the Southern Alps. Trucks pulling up here. Just have to stop to get the good photo of these mountains here. That's the true Southern Alps. If you go to the top of those ridges, then you're onto the west coast of the South Alps. Pull up on the other side here and get a better panoramic shot of these hills. My trailer is worse for wear, with covered in mud, but never mind. Let's have a look at these mountains. Half is past. Let's have a cup of tea and a pie. To the right there is the railway station for the Transalpine Express between Christchurch and Greymouth. I'm licking my chops as I come up here to the top of the Arthur's Pass. That pie was a bloody beaut, and I enjoyed the cappuccino with a bit of chocolate spread on it. So that obelisk on the top there that we can see is the top of the pass. Up here to the right is another ski field too. Temple Basin they call that one. And this obelisk here is the top of the top, and then we're into the west coast side of things here. As we go around this corner. All downhill now. What height do we get as high as 920 metres above sea level? This is the viaduct that's they were put in, because the old road was way up the top there, and that's all slipping away. This has shortened the road and made it a lot safer, providing there's no earthquakes. See, down on the west coast here there's no snow, it's only up high that you get the snow, and this is all protected down this side. Our next turn off down here is at Jackson's. Jackson's was a staging post years gone by for the horses that come across the pass. They leave Otera and come down to Jackson's and stage there. The old pub is now redundant and turned into a private accommodation. But in years gone by, that's where the people from the stagecoach would have had their rest, and the horses transferred to a new batch. The valley to my right there leads you through to Canterbury, also past Lake Sumner in North Canterbury. You can trek on up there over a low pass around the lake and come out at Harden and Waikari. This farmer here is belted Galloway. That's a Scottish breed too, with a distinctive band around their guts. There's a mob of steers in that paddock. They're hardy little beasts, and they can survive up here in this wetter, colder climate, similar to Scotland. This is the Timaru River here, heading on down, and it comes out between Hokitika and Greymouth. Whoever Stanley Gooseman was, this bridge is named after him. And to our right is the rail bridge. Between that ridge on our left and the hills on the far side is the main earthquake fault line running more or less north-south along the South Island of New Zealand. That's the line down through there, runs way down as far as Haas, where it runs into the ocean in that direction. There's low hills and fractured rocks way down through there. Back this other way, looking north, is the fault line through that low area like that. Steeper Southern Alps on this side and lower foothills on the left. And that peters out up near Murchison and fractures into many other smaller fault lines. So effectively we are travelling along the main fault line now of the Southern Alps of the South Island of New Zealand. To our left there we've got Lake Porurua. duck shooter's paradise. Another intersection here for a decision, but I know we've got to turn left here to Moana, Stillwater and towards Greymouth. We're 3/4 of the way through our trip. Work our way down here to Stillwater. Lake Brunner. So it's a marked contrast in the climate over here on the west coast, away from the snow and cold and rain on the other side. The Arnold River drains Lake Brunner or Lake Moana, goes through a power station further on down here, and then enters the Grey River at Stillwater. The mountain range straight ahead is the southern end of the Paparoa range. That runs between Greymouth and Westport. On the right here we have the meat packing house for the west coast. In fact, a lot of the South Islands bull beef and everything come here to be processed. That's Mount Sewell there at the end of the Paparoa range. Up on top there is the repeater station, transmitters for radio and television. And this is the transport hub here for T. Crofts Limited. I had the pleasure of looking after old Mr. Croft, the founder of this company, as I was his nurse here for a while. We've got a turn here, Stillwater. I go left, right, left, right here. I want to go down the left side of the left. Right. Left again. Stillwater Sawmill, and the cold loading yards are here. Mate Ray Beckford works there sometimes, sampling coal, I think. I don't think he tastes it, he sends it away to be tested. Across the Grey River. That one there flows out down to Greymouth. And now I want to turn right down the Blackball side of the river and head up towards Atarau. That's the Grey River, and across the river there you can see it like a shed there. Well, that's actually a gold dredge that was working, say, 18, 20 years ago, digging in for gold there across all that flat area on the other side. The tailings all been flattened out and turned back into farmland. Probably not quite good enough for dairy farming yet, but soon, as the soils get regenerated on the surface and the fertilizer gets put on, it comes back to pretty good. I'll show you an example of it up here. This land down in here had all been dredged. The dredge worked its way right up into this road here, and that these paddocks we're coming up to on the right have now been returned to near A-grade dairy farm. This row of hills to my left here, called the Paparoa Range, is significant because my friend who I'm going to meet now, Trevor, and his friend Kevin, walked from Westport end back down to the Greymouth end over 7 or 10 days along the peak, the first to do that. Kevin and Trevor put a book together called Into the Wilderness, and that explained and gave much more detail about their trials and tribulations walking along the crests of the ridge there of the Paparoa Range, the first to do so. This is the Ikamatua Black Ball back road. It's a pretty high grade road because this is where the Pike River mine coal trucks were intended to come on down here and take the coal to the railhead at Ikamatua. Totra flat across the river there. I've got about another 15 k's to go to my destination, so I'll call this part one of my trip, because tomorrow or the next day or the day after or whenever I'm heading back across the Lewis Pass over to Hanmer, down through Canterbury and back to Timaru that way. So if you want to follow along on the second part of my trip there, click the subscribe button, give a little tick and leave a comment if you want to. I appreciate all those things. Thank you very much. Catch you for now.